You have to look at the totality of the transaction. This is not a partition, but a payment made to an outsider, and therefore not a family settlement, not liable to tax. Friends, I had still a lot of things to say, but because of the constraint of time, let me just bring one additional point to you. Because I'm on family settlement, I would like to conclude by a classic decision of the special bench, which is reported in 111 ITD. This judgment is not in the paper, it came to me just now by virtue of family settlement. It is 111 ITD, page 1, special bench decision. First, the matter was before the tribunal. There was dissension, it was referred to 3 members. There was dissension, it was referred to 5 members of the tribunal. This is the case of CIT versus Narang Overseas International Hotels Limited. Please note that here there was a family settlement. Family settlement consequent to various arbitration awards. Please note, just general law, that if an arbitration award is there, of course now it is little difficult, doesn't mean you can't challenge it in the court. They challenged it to the court, and also various compliances were not made. The court ultimately, the matter went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decreed the matter in favor of the various family members, giving them the allocation of various properties. Question arose. What I'm trying to impress upon you is one particular point which arises. That certain amount compensation, damages, liquidated damages were paid for deprivation of the use, occupation and possession of the property. They termed it as means profit. Question is, what is the nature of means profit? I am placing this proposition for you that in a family settlement, I said, a family settlement by virtue of an arbitration can also give rise to a partition in a HUF. I am coming to the proposition that if some compensation is to be given and you want to avoid the clutches of tax, if it is termed as means profit, and under means profit, if an owner is given the amounts for deprivation of use, occupation, possession of the property, the tribunal in the special bench decision has held that it is not liable to tax. There is cleavage of decisions. Madras is against. There are other 5 decisions of various high courts in favor. The special bench inclined in favor of the decisions of the majority courts and came to the conclusion that a settlement, even if it's a family settlement, means profit arising by virtue of a court order, by virtue of an arbitration, would not attract tax. In sum, immovable properties, transfer takes place. The first point to note is when does it trigger? Because the entire point and the genesis of taxability comes into play at that point of time when there is accrual of income. If income has accrued or not is the basic criteria. What should be done? Close it? Okay. Please note that on the accrual point, this is a very important issue because that will be predominantly important in how you plan your particular transaction and how you do it. I'm tempted to conclude by one simple quotation. Man's greed for property and money always increases, more particularly with times. You may have income tax, you may have direct tax code, you may have indirect tax code. But people's ingenuity to avoid tax, nobody likes to pay taxes if they are too vexing. And therefore, all these things, they may bring out thousands legislations. In India, the problem is we always see there is a problem, you want to solve it, you enact a law. In the entire world, the largest number of laws are enacted in India, nowhere in the world. I can assure you that people in India are basically extremely honest and God-fearing. People do want to pay tax. It is not as if Indians are shy of paying the tax. India has arisen to today as a great economic powerhouse, not because of the government, but because of the individuals, the entrepreneur skill, and because of its population who has contributed to the exchequer. These are the points which have to be taken into consideration, that if you trust the taxpayer, see that this is a correct transaction, a reasonable transaction, then the doctrine of McDowell, Azadi Andolan Bachao, and all that would not be required if you trust the people to the hilt. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I wish we could have given you more time. Over to the chair for a brief summation. Chairman, sir, for a brief summation immediately. Chairman, sir, Chair N.K. Baby, sir, brief summation.
Mr. Arjun Adurjana to cut short his powerful, power-packed speech, bringing to you a very complex subject like the taxation of various transactions involved in immobile property transactions in a very, very lucid manner, very highly illustrative, and I am sure that this is something which all of you would have understood in great length. And the benefit of this, no doubt, goes to all of us in our very practical illustrations which he has given us. I would only like to